This conference will now be recorded.
So, may I take the lead temporarily, Susie?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So, my name is Kathleen. I'm one of the moderators here for Sarcoidosis Online National Support Team. I'm also an advocate for the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research. I have been for approximately 5 years. We do have a new caller. Is somebody in on the phone?
Me.
Is that Wanda again?
No, this is Wendy.
Hi, Wendy. It's Kathleen.
Who's this? Hi, Kathleen.
How are you?
Good.
Good. So we're
I
just
saw your
starting.
post.
Good. Thank you so much for sending me that song. It was very pretty.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
It was very nice.
There's a lot of talented people among us.
Yes, there is. And Wendy, we're just getting started because we have 2 new people, so we're going to do some brief introductions. Wow, where did my tongue go to?
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. So besides being part of the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research, I'm on Long Island as Sarcoidosis of Long Island, and then 3 other that are on Long Island and 1 in Westchester. We've started Stronger Than Sarcoidosis so that everyone knows that you're not alone. We never want anybody to feel alone again. So you can look us up there too if you so desire. I've had sarcoidosis for approximately 12 years of a known diagnosis. The only 2 places I do not have it at this point is my eyes and my kidneys. So I have it in every other living organ. So with that said, if we can go around, Susie, I'd like to know if you could go next. We're looking for just about 30 seconds, everybody. And Susie, it's all yours.
Okay, so my name is Susie Torres, and I'm bundled up because I'm cold. I live in Eagle Mountain, Utah, and I have been with FSR for 2 years now. And I started, so Utah has a much smaller population than New York, and so it's really hard to find other people with sarcoidosis, and so it's kind of normal here that when you're diagnosed, you think you're the only person on the planet that has it. And so I started a Facebook group for, it's called Utah Sarcoidosis Support. And we did have meetings where we got together and got to know each other, but COVID has put the kibosh on that. And I am also a sarcoidosis ambassador with FSR and a patient navigator and a peer mentor. But I honestly feel like I have a lot to learn from Kathleen. But the same as her. My goal is I don't want anybody to feel alone with sarcoidosis like I did when I was diagnosed. I thought it was just something they made up for house. I feel like talking about that show makes me old now, but who cares? And because I did just turn 50. And I don't know. I guess that's all.
Thank you, Wendy. Susie. Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
So sorry. See, I have sarcoidosis brain. Brian, could you introduce yourself as well?
Sure. So I'm in Irvine, Southern California. I've had sarcoidosis for about 27 years. It was dormant for probably 20 years, although I'd have CTs and PFTs once every year or 2 years. It's in my lungs and my hilar lymph nodes, the mediastinal lymph nodes. But of course, every time you have some complaint or some ache or pain, that the doctor says, "Oh, it's sarcoid." Over the years, so for 20 years or so, I would have a PFT every 2 years, 3 years, and then eventually my GP looked at this and said, "Whoa, you better change your DLCO is dropping. It's like 76, and well, you're going to lose your lung and all this." So I eventually looked for a pulmonologist, and he found one of the world experts I did see Op Sharma in the early days when I was diagnosed. He was the world expert in sarcoidosis. He's died. He died. Was at UCLA. And they just said, yeah, prednisone, that's it. That's all you can use. So I found a Dr. Shigemitsu, and then he put me on prednisone. I went to methotrexate, and then he stopped practicing. I don't know, he disappeared somewhere. So it was hard to find someone. I've been to USC, UCLA, got different stories, and just there's a difference in the way they look at stuff and how to deal with it. So I'd go through the process of my DLCO dropping, and then as soon as I get into prednisone, my DLCO went up to 110, and then the CT would show everything's shrunk, looking good. I taper down, get to the point again after about 4 months, virtually off it, everything will look good. 4 months later, the next PFT would show the DLCO now has dropped to about 98, so it's slowly starting to, the inflammatory side is perking up again, and so on a CT again, at that point, you suddenly see the difference. So back onto prednisone again, and that's how the cycle has gone. 3 months ago, I've been on prednisone for about a year now, year and a half, coming off methotrexate, and my mediastinal lymph nodes doubled and one tripled in size. Yet my lungs stayed the same as of a year ago. So the lung lymph granulomas and the interstitial stuff look more or less the same. So the big concern was why these lymph nodes so enlarged, and no one, of course, can give me an answer. I've been to 3 pulmonologists. I went to Cedars-Sinai, found a interstitial lung disease department there. Couldn't tell me. I then found originally back to the guy at USC, and no idea. And then my own pulmonologist, who's local, just believes in prednisone and says, oh, we're just treating sarcoid. And, didn't tell me why or anything. No, we'll just treat sarcoid. Go back, increase your dose of prednisone again. The other 2 guys at the other hospitals just felt that I should wait it out for 6 months and see what changes. I tend to be a bit more aggressive, want answers immediately. I think when you got sarcoid, you start being more alert of your own health and how to manage your own stuff without relying on doctors, and you don't put them on pedestals because we sometimes know more than they do about our own system, our own bodies. So I decided to just, based on what my first guy had said, just went back. I'm only on 5 milligrams. I was on 5 milligrams 3 days a week. So I went back to 5 milligrams daily. And after about 7-8 weeks, I've been getting chest pains and not sure if it's from the lymph nodes. Went for another CT, and they have shrunk a little bit, not major, but I think they dropped from 1.6 millimeters to 1.3 or something. So it tells me the prednisone's working, but no one can tell me why. I did reach out to you guys had a chat online thing, what was it, 2 weeks ago, with the pulmonologist from Florida, Dr. Patel. So I reached out to her. She said she'd get back to me, but she is so swamped with all the cases now of COVID that she hasn't. But she was going to try to do some research, whereas the other doctor, just no idea. So that's where I'm at now, just on my normal dose of prednisone. No idea whether it's going to stay this way, and we just carry on, just one of those things. What can I say? So I know it's tough being out there when no one really knows, has all the answers. And the guys at Cedars-Sinai told me, it's a very complex disease. They don't have all the answers, and sometimes it's trial and error. So hence why trying to reach out and join some groups that maybe someone has some more information.
Well, one of the things that I inadvertently forgot to say, please realize that we are patients helping each other. So we're not doctors. So
no, absolutely. But others may have similar situations and say, oh, I had that same occurrence,
Yeah. One of the things that we definitely have seen is where we've been in the same boat you are. And I consistently put it back into that boat. I had spoken to Susie a little bit about it last night. So if you don't mind, I just want to finish saying hello to everybody and get a little bit from them. And then I want to circle back. Will that be all right, Brian?
Sure.
Wonderful. Liz, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, well, I'm Liz, and like I said a while ago, I'm from Maryville, Tennessee, and I got diagnosed with sarcoidosis in 2016. And I have it in my liver and my lungs and my mediastinum, and they think I have it in my heart. I just got a cardiac MRI, and I go see the cardiologist tomorrow. He's going to go over the findings. I have systolic heart failure, and that's why they think that I might have it in my heart. And I don't know a lot about it, but I know last year I got a kidney stone for the first time in my life. And I found out that apparently sarcoidosis changes the way our body processes vitamin D and calcium. So that's about it.
All right. Well, we have good news about the cardiac, but we'll come back to that too.
Okay, good.
Ooh.
Wendy, would you like to introduce
Yes.
yourself?
Hi. Hi, I'm Wendy Flyer. I'm from Rochester, New York, which is upstate, not far from Buffalo and Niagara Falls. I have it in my brain. I have it in my spine. I have it I'm sorry, I have it in my spine, and I have it in my lymph nodes, and it's gone completely out of my lungs. So that's a good thing. And now I have an appointment on Thursday because I think that I have it in my liver, and I was very it's very interested because I don't know anything about it being in your liver. That my liver enzymes are like really bad, and treatments don't work because of my liver enzymes. And the caller before that was just talking about it being in her liver, and I'm very interested in that. But the good thing is that they reopened the sarcoidosis clinic that they tried to start here in Rochester last month. And it says WSO. My doctor just let me know about it because she wants to get me transferred over into there. She said she will try to get me into there. It says on the top WSOG, which I'm not really familiar with, that it's part of that group.
Okay, that's a good group to be with. So we will circle back to that as well. So we don't have anybody else yet. So if you don't mind, we're going to stop there. Brian, I want to circle back to you, seeing that it was 20 years. You've had it for 27, and it was 20 years you said that it was quiet?
Yeah.
So it's only been in this past 7 years, am I correct?
Yeah, the last 5, 6 years, 7 years maybe, yeah. Which was very interesting. I mean, it was diagnosed, in those days, I remember Oprah on a show, everyone was going for body scans, and this whole fad of having body scans. So I was having stomach pains and they couldn't find it. I had trying to think what it was. It was a parasite. I was doing a lot of traveling, picked up a parasite, and before I had my results back, so I would just go for the body scan. And then, the guy said, okay, it looks like you got Hodgkin's. Oh my God. Oh, no, sorry, it's sarcoidosis. So that was a diagnosis. And then I had my gallbladder out, and they were going to do a mediastinoscopy because they want to do the biopsy to make sure it is sarcoidosis. And while he was in, they said, hey, if you find a lymph node, grab it. So apparently he ran out in the middle of the procedure to my wife and said, I found a lymph node, they've biopsied, and it is sarcoidosis. So it was confirmed at that point. But I had no symptoms. So I'd have the CT, the PFT, everything was good. And then 5 6 years ago, started with walking on the treadmill, started running. 3 minutes into, I'd get this chest pain, and my pulmonologist said, yeah, it's exercise-induced asthma. We can give you prednisone. Well, it's not. That's the misdiagnosis a lot of them make, is exercise-induced asthma, and it's actually sarcoidosis, and they don't do anything further.
I got diagnosed with that too.
Yeah, I have a cousin in Texas who told me she's battling to walk and exercise because she gets these pains, and they've told her it's exercise-induced asthma, and then eventually some guy sent her for the CT and found it was sarcoidosis. But for years it was asthma. So there is that problem in the medical field of misdiagnosing it. And my pulmonologist at USC told me the same thing. He says that's the biggest problem. So, from there it's sort of gone downhill, where it's definitely needs some medication. So it just, I'm on this yo-yo now, medication, go off it. It's good for about 3 to 4 months, and then slowly the inflammation starts again. Although, I mean, other than being out of breath when I run or walk, there's nothing else that I really have, no other symptoms. So you wouldn't say I even had it other than looking at my lungs. But I'm trying to avoid it forming, fibrosis of the lungs, and trying to save my lungs, bottom line. So whatever I need to do.
I do understand that, and we all understand that prednisone affects our body poorly.
Right.
Do you have anything else? Like, I understand it's in your lymph nodes. Have you ever been diagnosed with it anywhere else, or do you have joint pain or anything like that?
No, I have nothing.
Hmm.
Heart is the issue,
Oh,
and I know
thank goodness.
the lady earlier was talking about that. I did have a PET scan yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Came back with, and I did have an MRI probably 6 months ago, which was recommended to make sure, and that an MRI of the heart didn't show sarcoidosis. My PET scan showed some weird stuff, but he doesn't think it's sarcoidosis. I'm going for a CT angiogram because they don't want to do an angiogram at this point in time with COVID, just to make sure there's no blockage there. But, I don't know if it's affecting my heart. I mean, I walk, I can walk up a hill, and halfway up the hill, I get this pain starting in my sternum, going up, radiating across my chest. Gets quite severe that I have to stop, and then it dissipates. And that's it. It never goes down my arm. So all the cardiac tests all come back normal, except the PET scan yesterday showed something that he just wasn't quite sure about.
Was that a cardiac PET scan, Brian?
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
So
I'm having one of those
What do you mean
next
they're not
Monday.
sure
I've
of?
never done that
Are they
before.
looking for sarcoid?
sorry, Wendy, what were you saying?
I just want to know if they're not sure of. Are they looking for sarcoid?
Well, they do a PET scan if there's anything
Your
there.
heart, in your heart.
Yeah, they would see granulomas in the heart. I mean, yeah, they're looking for anything that's their PET scan will highlight stuff, but it did show some other.
But you don't know what it is yet.
It could be vascular stuff, small, arteries, which very small veins that could be causing a problem, but not sure. That's why I want to do a CT angiogram. But
Right.
I don't know whether the chest pain that I get is coming from the heart. We want to clear that up, or it's coming from, no one can tell me where it's coming from. I think it's a bronchial spasm, but then it's not quite the same. I run up my stairs at home, and suddenly I just feel it coming on, and then it goes away, so it's very strange. I can just be walking fast through an airport, and suddenly I get it. It's like, oh my God.
I'm so sorry.
2 minutes or something, and then it goes away, so not like it's intense. But he said he'll try nitro stuff and see, and that way, if it solves it with nitro, then we know it's coming from the arteries, and it may not be sarcoidosis, doesn't mean it's always sarcoidosis. But other than that, no other symptoms or ailments. Yeah, my blood pressure is high, so I'm on about 5 medications. So we think the sarcoidosis is causing that. No proof, but they think it
I
is.
would just like to say I love your accent.
Thank you.
It's beautiful, eh?
Agreed. Brian, when do you get your results back?
For which one?
The PET scan.
Oh, I had that today. I spoke to my cardiologist today, and he wants me to go for a CT angiogram now.
Okay, so when are you, I know you probably don't have that scheduled already. When will you get that?
I've only just sent the orders in. So I'm very lucky. I have, the cardiologist is a friend of mine, so I can just text him anytime. I have 2 radiologists who are friends of mine. I have an anesthetist who's a friend of mine. So, I've got the medical guys on tap if I need anything to be done, and quick introductions to other doctors, and they'll get me in quickly. So I'm very lucky I can get advice.
How do you get that? How do you get that? That's very. How do you get that? That's great.
Yeah, well, just friends. I mean, but I don't have the pulmonologist or the experts in sarcoidosis. They could help me,
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why.
But there are some out here, like Kathy, like Dr. Judson, and.
I know, but he's in California, so that was my next question to you, Brian. Have you actually connected with the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research?
Yeah, I'm a member on them. They gave me the site, in fact, and some other stuff that they've given me, lots of resources, which I've been on member for years on it. So
Okay. I was just questioning because there are doctors that are listed there. That's somewhat how we find
right,
doctors. So I do want to remind you to continue looking at that. And if you find a doctor that is how you feel comfortable with sarcoidosis, because there's very few that understand the whole person.
correct.
Please always email the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research because they're always updating that. And I
Okay.
really believe that that's a huge thing that we as patients need to make sure that we do is email the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research so that they can make sure that that is up to date. Because
Yeah,
you're going to help the next person, not only yourself.
No, absolutely, 100%. And I do go to that site to see when I was looking for new doctors locally because I wasn't getting responses. The problem I found when the doctor is at a university or a teaching hospital, the response times are shocking. You get no responses. I see they read my email, but no response. I'll send a PFT, see it's read, no response for 3 weeks. It's like, what the hell? And then,
Is that recently because of COVID, or it's been like that for years?
No, this has been for a while. Then I need to find someone else because I'm not getting response. The results, from my standpoint, were not what I wanted them to be. They'd change, and I wanted an answer, and no response. And then I looked for someone else. As I said, I saw a guy at Cedars-Sinai, found him on the Sarcoidosis Foundation site. He's on there. And then the other guy at USC, I've been seeing for 2 years, but he never responded for 4 weeks. In the interim, I went and saw another guy, and then, on the 4th week, suddenly I get a call on a Saturday morning saying, well, they saw my email, the doctor will see me. I said, okay, fine. But it took 4 weeks to respond.
Yeah. No.
And I did see him, and, so I'm just taking the information from both of them and deciding what's going to be the most beneficial to me. Doesn't mean they have all the answers.
No, and I agree with that.
You know what? I had the same problem, right, Kathleen?
Yes.
I had the same problem. I always went to Frank and Kathy. They're like the biggest help, Brian. Frank is awesome, and Kathy is like the bone behind Frank. I when I went to the START clinic, it was like I walked through the Golden Gate. When I went to go see Dr. Judson, he gets back to you within the day. He has an assistant that does that. He just hires him to get back to you, and it was just so much easier on my life.
Yeah, but remember, not all of us have that, unfortunately. I know I don't. And Frank,
I know, but Kathy, I didn't have it either, but I traveled far to go there,
Yes.
Where is he located?
He's in
Albany, New York.
Okay, yeah.
But he's like world renowned, and I got really lucky because he moved in from South Carolina. Some of the people that belong to this group had him in South Carolina, and he moved to Albany, and it was just a miracle for me that he moved there because he had just so much information that he gave me that I overlooked on the FSR page. I didn't, for some reason, I was on a lot of medicines and I couldn't comprehend very well. And I was on another medicine where I could comprehend. And when I went to go see him, and I was just so amazed, I felt like a big positive heat wave came through my body when I went to go see him. I've been told that, so.
Yep. So, Brian, so I think you're doing everything right. It really, push comes to shove, and unfortunately, this disease, I'm sure you've read so much about, because we all do, and I call it Dr. Google. And it's sometimes bad because we look at things and we go, oh my God.
I know.
You're doing everything right, and please realize that we're here to support you. You can always reach out to me on Facebook or Susie. Frank also. We're all here. When Wendy reaches out to me, I answer her. Period. That's the way it goes. If somebody questions me, I called Susie over the summer, didn't I, Susie? Because somebody reached out to me, a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, and then they needed help, and it was not in New York. So I picked up the phone and I was like, Susie, help. And she's like, okay, give me the phone number. And that's the way we do things around here. You know,
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. But I mean, you know, a tip that I can give you folks is when I went to UCLA, I wanted to see the sarcoid expert there, which I think was on the website for, you know, sorry, just a minute. It's on the Sarcoid Foundation site. I saw a fellow there, and she said to me that I should do a pulmonary PFT every 3 to 4 months.
Right.
Which was good advice, especially when your DLCO is dropping, because you don't want to get it too far down a year later and you're right below 70 or something, and then you got problems. So I tended to do one every 4 months, and then one of the other docs said the same. The others, you know, and so they tend to be the gold standard to do that. However, the correlation between a good PFT doesn't mean that your lungs are good.
Correct.
And the one guy, and in fact, I went to Dr. Shigemitsu in Vegas. So I'd fly to Vegas, which is only an hour away, to see him 2 or 3 times a year, no big deal. But the PFT showed it had dropped to 88. And by all standards, that is still normal. He said, no, I want a CT. And guess what? The lymph nodes had all increased from the prior CT. So the correlation is not exactly the same. So you think your PFT is looking good. It doesn't mean the granulomas aren't growing. And I'm trying to stop fibrosis occurring, and so I want the granulomas to be small. So you got to manage both, and a lot of the docs don't.
But Brian, you're talking about the granulomas, right? That is one thing that I was like so happy to go see Dr. Judson for. I mean, I'm just saying you can go to any Sarc specialist and that's doing research, and but he's one of them, and he told me that the Remicade totally removed the granulomas from my lungs.
Good.
So he said there was 2 drugs that can do that. The one is Remicade, and oh my God, I forgot what the other one. But I was on Remicade. There's Humira, which if my liver ever goes down, they don't know what they're going to do because they don't know if I have to have a biopsy of my liver. But that's another story. But I'm just saying, I did not. My doctors here didn't tell me that. They didn't tell me. They were like shocked that my granules were removed from my lungs.
Wow.
Right. And Wendy,
I wouldn't have gone on Remicade if it wasn't for this group. This group told me about Remicade.
Yeah. And Wendy, I just want to preface a little bit there, because realize that even if, and I pray that you are one of those, is since it's gone from your lungs, even though it might be other places, it can come back at any time. It just loves our
yeah, I know that's been discussed too. You're right.
So even though the Remicade might be slowing it down or gotten rid of it, Humira as well, you know, still continue with everything, because I do believe that the world is a better place with all of us in it.
Yep.
So, and Brian, if you don't mind, I'd like to head over to Liz.
Sure.
And if you have other questions, please think of them. We will circle back once again, especially since it's such a small group, which is wonderful.
Right. It's easy, yeah.
So Liz, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. So what are some of the things that are concerning to you? And I know this was not on our list, Susie, so I've kind of diverted.
Well, my cardiac doctor that originally saw me in the hospital when I had congestive heart failure, which was caused from, you know, I mentioned that I had a kidney stone for the first time.
Yes.
Well, I had the kidney stone. It was big and stuck in my kidney, so they did lithotripsy. And they put a stent in between my bladder and kidney. And they had to take it out early because of a holiday, Thanksgiving, a year ago. And because he was going to be on vacation the week after Thanksgiving. So they took it out early. And I wound up with an abscess in that ureter. And it caused it to close up, and I started running high fever and having chills. This was before COVID. And I went to the emergency room the next day, and I was borderline sepsis because I had a really bad kidney and bladder infection. And they ran a lot of fluid through me, and that's when I'd never had a heart problem before, but I had wound up with congestive heart failure. So they did a ultrasound of my heart the next day, and the cardiac doctor said that I had systolic heart failure, and he said my heart was pumping real good, but that it was not relaxing good. And he was not very familiar with sarcoidosis, but he thought that that's why that was causing the systolic heart failure, or it not relaxing good. And he promised me, since he wasn't very familiar with it, the doctor's office and the hospital there had just formed a partnership with the Mayo Clinic. So he kept telling me every appointment that he was going to check with Mayo Clinic. So like 9 months later, finally, he checked with Mayo Clinic. He had given me a heart monitor halter to wear for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
And I was having some tachycardia and palpitations and all, even in my sleep. And so they wanted me to get this cardiac MRI, which I just had. In the meantime, that cardiologist moved to Texas. So I'm supposed to see this cardiologist that's been there, but he's only agreed to see the other doctor's patients one time until the new doctor comes. So I see this doctor one time, and hopefully tomorrow he'll explain the cardiac MRI, even though he said it was fairly good. It wasn't excellent. I know there's a little bit of something there. And so I'm kind of anxious to see what he's going to say. And, if there's my mother, my father, and my brother all died of a massive heart attack. That was everybody in my family, my only sibling. And he wasn't but 43, and my mom wasn't but 59. So I'm 61, so I'm concerned. I'd like to stay around a little longer.
So I did say there was good news with cardiac sarcoidosis.
Oh, good.
And, sarcoidosis will kill us eventually. I'm hoping mine's a lot longer than whatever. But I've also had, first off, the cardiac MRI for myself also came back poor. It's through the whole center muscle of my heart, which is not pretty cool. But, I've gotten, I believe at this point, a good cardiologist, or I should call him a cardiac electrophysiologist. Say that a couple of times fast. Okay. So the cardiac electrophysiologist, when I met with him in 2019, I had already worn a Holter monitor. I had already been through 2 MRIs, a PET scan, all specifically on my heart. So the cardiac electrophysiologist wanted to put in a loop recorder or loop monitor. So what that pretty much does is it continually is in my heart, and it's constantly checking my heart rhythm. So everything goes directly to them. I get this little button that I press every time that there's something going on. Since then, well, actually, I should rewind. So that was February. I was supposed to go on 2 vacations last year in 2020. One was a cruise for 9 days, and one was to Mexico. And guess what? Didn't get to either one of them. Okay. So, but when the doctor wanted to put it in, he said that if he has to put a defibrillator in, I would not be able to raise my arms above my head. There'll be no swimming. There'll be no getting it wet. There'll be no hot tubs. And I was like, oh yeah, heck no. Now I didn't know what was coming down the pike. But so I said to him, I said, don't worry. I said, let's just do this in August. Let's just schedule it for then. not a big deal. So all of a sudden, I hang up with the secretary. Less than 5 minutes later, I have the doctor on the phone. Yeah, Mrs. Turano, that's not happening. We'll get you in February. Oh, okay. So I went in February. I do have a loop recorder in. I did not need a defibrillator, thank God. With that, unfortunately, I've also been put on 2 beta blockers. But that's one of the things probably that I would say that the doctors definitely watch the most is the heart, because that's what powers us for all intents and purposes. Our lungs do work, but we can survive on oxygen, etc. So as far as cardiac is concerned, I was very scared, to be 100% honest with you. I don't think I've ever spoken to Susie about it, but I know I had spent hours and hours and hours going over it with Frank. And just kind of, he was able to calm me down that, okay, so it's in your heart, it's in your body, so why would you not think it's in your heart? And I was like, I don't want to talk to you if you're going to give me that. I see the sour face I just had. I was like, I ate lemons. I was like, ooh, But looking at it now, I'm not so scared of it. One of the things, since COVID is, I've explained to Susie and Frank, I leave my phone in different parts of my house. I'm not as attached to it any longer, so I feel like I'm having better family time. But the heart, don't be so scared. I'm not telling you not to go for the tests. Please go for the tests. You need to know, but there's ways of them keeping it under control. It's just a matter of finding you a good doctor, which we can work on the side too. So I hope that helps a little bit, Liz.
Well, I've had the test, so I just get the results tomorrow.
Right.
So,
Right. And we're here. Again, if you need to reach out, we're definitely here for you.
Thank
Susie,
you.
do you have cardiac?
So, the doctors in Utah are nothing to get excited about. So my cardiac MRI was inconclusive. And so I am having a cardiac PET next week. And I actually need to have a regular PET, but I'm having a hard time getting that ordered because we have 2 main, what do you call it? Sorry, I'm having a hard time with words lately. Big medical organizations in Utah. One of them's the University of Utah, which is supposed to be a center of sarcoidosis excellence. I'm not real excited about them. And then we have Intermountain Healthcare that has better customer service, but nobody knows anything about sarcoidosis. And so, yeah, it's all really frustrating. But Liz, I wanted to ask you if you've considered going to Vanderbilt, because I've actually considered it because it says it's a center for sarcoidosis excellence. And my son was living in Maryville and he said, well, if I go over there, he would meet me there. I personally was living in Rochester, Minnesota, being treated at the Mayo Clinic for 7 years, and the sarcoidosis was never detected, and I know I had it the whole time. So I'm not that excited about Mayo when it comes to my conditions. They were great for my husband. And don't get me wrong, Mayo is a great place with great people, but they don't catch everything. And so
Your husband has sarcoid, Susie?
No, he has something totally different, which is why we moved to Minnesota, because we couldn't find help for him. But yeah, I wasn't impressed with Mayo for SARC. I'm definitely not impressed with Utah for SARC. So I want to go to the Cleveland Clinic, but I had considered Vanderbilt because my son was in Tennessee. So I was just curious, Liz, if you've considered Vanderbilt.
I haven't. I've just used the people locally here, and I've heard of the Cleveland Clinic, and there's another one in Ohio, isn't there?
I don't know.
I don't think so. Just Cleveland. John
Yeah.
Hopkins is in Maryland.
Yeah, Cleveland seems to have a good reputation with Dr. Bowman.
Okay.
Okay. I guess
I
if it gets bad again, with my lungs, like right now, I'm not having any trouble with my lungs. So, but I'm also not going anywhere and getting exposed to anything. So I think right now I just need to stay at home. I'm worried about going in the doctor's office tomorrow, but I'll wear my mask and shower as soon as I get home. So,
I have noticed that since I don't work and I don't go anywhere, my health is better. Just staying at home doing nothing, I feel better. But on the other hand, the quality of life is a little sad.
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably because you don't get around other people with their germs, so you're probably healthier.
Yeah, and that's true, Wendy. I've been home too, not working, so I use .coms for every shopping trip and put up my trunk and close my trunk. Bye. So, but Wendy, I want to circle
Yes,
back.
but you're just like me, Kathy. You're just like me, Kathy, though. But both of our husbands go out of the house all the time.
Yeah, actually, my husband has been home since the beginning of March. His company is
Oh, I thought he was going out.
he is also a diabetic, and that is currently under control, thanks to me being home
Oh,
for a year.
wow.
But yeah, no, yeah, it was hard.
I'm so sorry.
But anyway, he is home. The one that was going out of my house was my youngest son. He worked full time, and then he worked part time at a gymnastics center. That's where and how COVID got into my world. So, but I kicked it right out of the world, and I did not get it. Knock on wood.
Oh,
So,
gosh. Oh,
well,
yeah.
Wendy, I do want to tell you what would you say WSOG stands for? You ready?
Yeah, that's what's on the, it says
Yep. So that's
WSOG, I guess, helps in December restart the.
what?
It says WSOG, and then I think I don't know if it says Foundation of Sex Research. I'll have to look under it, but
It shouldn't. So
it just says they're giving a big thanks.
So what that stands
Hello?
for, can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know why you're cutting out.
Can everybody else hear me? Okay. So what it stands for is the World Association of Sarcoidosis and Other Granuloma Disorders. How's that? You want me to say it again so you can write it
So
down?
it's just not sarcoid then, right?
No, so it also brings in any other granuloma diseases. But the WSOG is, I remember when I first became an advocate with the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research, that the WSOG said that they were not finding anybody with sarcoidosis who smoked or continued to smoke. So they were doing, Susie, were you part of this or not? They were doing patches of nicotine patches.
No, I heard about it and I actually asked my neurologist if I should try it, and he didn't think it was a good idea.
Yeah, I think they've stepped away from that now. I don't know for 100% certain, but I know that they are one of the leading areas for sarcoidosis and other granuloma disorders. So it's a good thing, Wendy. So definitely work on that. Make that happen.
Yeah, I was like going to talk to you. Like, I know that you're going through a lot with your heart, but I don't like to. But I'm like, because she said to me, because supposedly I have it in my thyroid too. It was the thyroid doctor. She's part of that now. She's like, you could come over and I can get you in. And I'm like, well, I'm going to miss my doctors, Dr. Abazi, and, but in the whole, remember the whole, I don't know if you remember, you got so many people, but the situation with the other doctors not wanting me to go to other doctors and
Yes, yes, yes.
the politics.
It is. And you know what? I need you to remember in the most polite situation, I don't know how else to say this politely, but they technically work for us. And Susie and Frank and a couple other people have been trying to make me stronger in speaking up to the doctors. Because Wendy, I think you do that really awesomely. I'm not, when I'm face to face with a doctor, I'm not as good at that as you probably are. And I see Mr. Rick came in. You gonna say hello, Mr. Rick? Mr. Davis? All right. He'll hit us
Hey,
up.
Kathy, while you're on there, do you know how everybody's doing? It's like they had COVID. I hope they're doing okay.
Meaning,
Oh, this is my doctor. Hold on a minute. My doctor's on the line. I'll be right back.
bye.
Yeah, that was a good point on COVID. How does a normal sarcoidosis patient fare if they get COVID with, obviously in your lungs, obviously we are compromised.
Again, unfortunately, each one of us are different.
Yeah.
We have had some of our community, unfortunately, not so good. I've seen some of the community, unfortunately, pass, some close friends. But for the most part, I would have to say that we're struggling just like everybody else. Because as Wendy had stated, somebody goes outside the house. I had COVID in my house. It was everything that I had since March fought to not have in my house. So when my son came in a day before my birthday, and Susie thinks she's old, I'm older than her. I hit 50 a long time ago. I'm going on the other side of the next number. But anyway, when COVID came into my house on November 9th and my son was diagnosed with it, I'll tell you, my heart dropped. I was so scared, guys. I spent 4 hours cleaning my house. I wouldn't let my son out of his room unless he had to go to the bathroom. He could not use my bathroom. He had to have his hands clasped at his sternum, walk down the stairs, don't touch anything. Go into the bathroom, go do whatever you need to do. Same thing on the way back, and you had a mask on, and get back in your room. It was paper plates, plastic cups, put in garbage bags every single day. He would take it out. I would open up the back door. He would throw it out. I'd close the back door. Get it back in your room. I was like a lunatic, Brian. I'm going to be honest. But thankfully my husband and I didn't get it. So think about it. The person was living here in this house. I think I told Susie this. I was sitting at the table with him having lunch, literally one chair away, no masks on, because he lived in my house. And he got a call from the gymnastic place. 3 girls tested positive. 2 of the teachers, you need to go get tested. I'm like, you're breathing on me. Get out. So, but unfortunately, a lot of our people are struggling still. Some who have gotten COVID previously, they're severely struggling still. So they could have gotten COVID back in April, and here we are almost a year later, 9 months. Yeah. So your best bet for everybody is really to stay healthy.
I know.
Rick, how are you?
I'm good. I'm only here for a minute. I've got to go open another room. I just wanted to come in and wish everybody a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I've missed you.
Well, I'll try and get in earlier next time.
It's never a problem. I'll just bother you through email.
I just wanted to say hi to everybody. And, we like that background, Susie.
Oh, thank you.
Very, very, very nice. I don't
It
know
is.
how you do that on GoToMeeting, how you create, you must have some special app.
Oh, no, this is actually a photo backdrop that I bought on Amazon and hung on my wall.
Oh, okay.
That's
All
so
right.
smart.
It's very clever.
Thank
But
you.
we know you're very clever. Anyway, listen, I just really wanted to say hi and give Frank my best. I'll try and give him a call maybe tomorrow and just say hi to him.
Rick,
So,
why don't you call me tomorrow
okay,
before you
will
call
do.
Frank?
Okay, bye.
Bye. So I don't know if you guys are able to see the video, but Mr. Rick Davis is the gentleman who allows us to use this room free of charge. He also helped train us in order to moderate. So he is a wonderful, wonderful gentleman. So as you can see, it's through ANCAN. They started with prostate cancer and then have gone to MS groups, sarcoidosis. So if you ever want to look them up, or you know somebody else that needs, a support group, he probably already has one going. So you can always look him up. So I know we were speaking to Wendy, and Wendy's doctor called. So I'd like to ask, did you do any New Year's resolutions or anything like that? Susie?
Well, in my group of friends, the thing is picking a word for the year. And so mine is healthy, because I really want to be healthier. And so I'm actually trying a raw vegan diet right now. It's supposed to reduce inflammation. The doctor that started it claims that it cured her lupus. So, and at this point, I have been totally out of hope. Like, my hope was gone. And so, if nothing else, this diet has given me hope again. And so I'm excited and daydream about possibilities of what I could do if I could go back to work and do the things I want to do.
May I ask what you used to do?
Oh, I worked at Fidelity Investments. I was an inheritor services case manager. So if you had a family member die or a friend and you were a beneficiary, you would call me and I would walk you through all the ridiculous paperwork of inheriting stocks and securities.
Very nice.
Yeah.
How long have you not worked in the field, if you don't mind my asking?
So my last day was in August of 2017. But from January to August, I wouldn't say I was a great employee because I was fighting, trying to get it, figuring out. So in January of 2017, I went to the doctor expecting a pill to make it so I could go back to work. Nobody has that pill. And yeah, I fought it for 8 months I was like, if I just suck it up and push through it, I'll be able to keep going to work. And I finally had to surrender because I wasn't getting my work done.
Did you go for disability?
Yes, I am on long-term disability. And one thing I love about Fidelity, which I probably don't have permission to keep talking about them, but is that I am still technically an employee. So if I have a miracle and get better, then my job is there waiting for me.
That's fantastic.
I might have to retake the securities exams, but it'll be worth it.
Absolutely. I can see you doing that, and you'll ace it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Brian, what did you decide? Did you come up with a New Year's resolution, or did you not do one?
No, not at all. Just got to stay healthy and not get COVID. That's all we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think the whole world's doing that.
So,
What about
you
you?
talk about
Oops, sorry.
you talk about not getting it when your son had it. My daughter's in London. She got engaged, and her and her fiance went to London. They were transferred. She got it in March. Had it for about 4 weeks. I wasn't, other than she had the 5 symptoms. Never had a fever. Just exhausted, pounding headaches, no sense of smell. Her fiance never got it at all. So just goes to show. And her sense of smell has slowly come back because it affects the sensory nerves in your nose, and that takes a while. She had to get steroid sprays for that. Apparently that's one of the side effects afterwards, that you may lose that sense of smell permanently, may never come back. But it's interesting that it doesn't mean everyone's going to get it. So it is what it is.
Yeah. I'm hoping with this new strain that we will still be in that.
Yeah, hope so. Jeez.
Yeah, you and me both. Liz, what about you? Did you make a New Year's resolution or?
No, because I decided New Year's resolutions, they're in one year and out the other year. In one
Can't see
ear
Susie,
and
but
out
she's
the other
laughing.
ear. Do what?
Susie's laughing. You can't see her, but she's hysterical. She loved
Oh,
that answer.
I can see y'all. I can see you and Susie.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know if you could see us.
But yeah, no, I didn't make one. I lost my husband a year ago. The day after Christmas, he had a massive hemorrhagic stroke. And so last year it was a year of first, his first birthday in heaven, and first Christmas without him and all. And we finally made it through all the first. So I feel like I can be more normal and not be as depressed as this was a tough year, and this 2020 for everybody, but it really was for me because I had to get used to him not being here. And one little funny thing, my little puppy had died that I'd had 14 and a half years. It died in October 2019. And I kept telling him I wanted another puppy. I really missed my dog. And he didn't want to get another one. He kept saying it hurts too bad when you lose them. And he just really didn't want me to have another one. But he surprised me on Christmas Day and gave me one. And then the next day he had his stroke. And I'm so glad that he gave me this puppy because I've had a little company, So, but yeah, just trying to be a happier person. I bought a planner through Target online, and it was just so dull. And I had gotten a happy planner the year before he died, and it had inspirational stuff in it. It made me happy. It had cute stuff in it, and so I gave that planner away, and I got from a local store here, Michael's, curbside today. I got my happy planner, so I'm going to try to be happier.
That's
Good.
wonderful.
Thank
Liz, oh, I'm sorry, Kathleen.
Please.
Liz, I just want to tell you, and I don't want this to sound negative, although it might. My daughter is a widow. Her husband died unexpectedly at 23. And she, trying to figure a nice way to say this, but I'm just going to say it. She said the second year is actually harder than the first. So I want to totally support you having a happy year, but as stuff might come up that hurts really bad, and I just want you to be aware of that and let it come up so that you can feel it and then it can pass, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's all a new journey, that
Yeah.
I didn't plan to be on. I was going to go first with all this sarcoidosis mess I've got, but
I hear you.
God had other plans, so I'm here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to
Well,
try, especially when I get the vaccine and can go out somewhere like the mountains or, just I won't be scared to go too far from my house like I am now.
we're so happy that you're here, and I'm really happy that he gave you that puppy. That is a beautiful, beautiful gift.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I think one of the things, Liz and Brian, you don't know us well enough yet, but since joining the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research, and that's where I met Susie and so many other fantastic advocates, as you continue to join us in these meetings, you'll meet so many new ones. I always say I have multiple families. So I have my roll call wheelchair dance family. I have my immediate family here, of course. And I have my sarcoidosis family who understand what I'm going through. So I can say out loud to Susie, hey, I'm scared. And she'll be like, okay, what are you scared about? Oh, there's the puppy. Liz, what is the puppy's name? Uh, when you unmute, we'll have to hear the name. Oh, he's so adorable.
I didn't know I was muted. His name is Oreo. He's black and white. And he's just been a little lifesaver to me.
Yeah, and he loves you. You can see that.
Oh, yeah.
That's his mom. He is
He's
beautiful.
asleep right now.
You've made him so comfortable and
Well,
safe.
if I had gone and bought one, it wouldn't have been the same. And I would have thought, oh, he didn't want me to have another one, But being that he got my daughter to go pick it up and keep it at her house so he could surprise me on Christmas. So, and then it was just meant to be, I guess.
Not only is it a special memory, you know that he loved you that much to get that for you.
Yes.
He will watch over you. I'm sure he will. I don't know if everybody believes that, but I kind of do.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
No problem. So Liz, and Brian, this becomes another family. I mean, we may not all be the same, because we are in the snowflake disease, but we're definitely a family. I know I can pick up the phone to any one of the women and the men that I have met that have sarcoidosis, and I could say, hey, I need help. And they'll help. And that's, because that's so beautiful from people who have had it for 27, 30 years, 50 years. To me, why aren't we like that to the rest of the world? So that's why, this support group is super important. I truly believe in it. I believe in supporting each of us. I may not always have the answer, but I'll search out an answer. I'll ask somebody the question and find an answer for you. So know that we are always here for you. Nobody should ever be alone or feel like you're alone.
Thank you. That means a lot after a year of being a lot alone. And I'm sorry I shared so much. I didn't mean to monopolize the conversation here.
You are not, Liz, not at all. We're here to support you, and in turn, eventually you might support us one time. You just met a new family. You got Susie, Wendy, Brian, and me.
There you go.
There's going to be so many more. Wait till you see. We have, unfortunately, why am I not I'm drawing a blank, Susie. The gentleman who was diagnosed with sarcoidosis when he was 4 years old. What is his name again?
Oh, I can see his face, but I don't remember his name. Is it Kevin?
No, Kevin's the older gentleman with the whiteboard behind him.
He lives in Washington.
Mm-hmm. Spencer.
Okay, there you go.
Got it. Sorry, as you can see, brain fog. Gentlemen, you'll get to meet Spencer. You'll get to meet Kevin. You'll meet Frank eventually. Frank's just a little under the weather right now. So Frank was the founder of this. I want to say that. He thought about this support group. He dragged us all in. We didn't kick and scream, but we dragged us all in. So I can't wait till you get to meet him and the rest of the group. I'm not even a quarter of it. So you have Trina, hopefully Yvonne, Rodney. Rodney is another one. He's a moderator. There's so many. I can't wait till you guys get to meet everybody. I didn't make a New Year's resolution. I've still been working on me from last year. So my biggest problem, as I said before, is not speaking up to the doctors, not questioning, and just accepting blindly. And that's not a good thing for me. You know, I'm a Scorpion, so with a tempered nature. But I also, you know, Susie, did you get the email I sent to you yesterday, or the link?
Oh, I did. I have not looked at it yet, but I did get it. I have one of my issues from my neurological stuff is it's really hard for me to read very much. And so I usually put it aside and try to look at it when I feel up to it.
Okay, so
But go ahead and share.
I am so excited because 2020 might be a good, 2021, sorry, might be a good year. And 2020, even though we had COVID, might also be a good year. COVID attacks the lungs, as we all know. Sarcoidosis, the first place it usually attacks, with probably 90% of us, is
Lungs.
right. Brian, you're fantastic. You get a gold star. Ding. So I'm a little weird sometimes. Don't mind me, Brian. So with that, there's a lot of hope for sarcoidosis. And the reason why I say this is two reasons. I shared last month when I was able to be on. There's a doctor from Yale University. He's a cardiologist. His name is Brian with a Y, and his last name is Young, Y-O-U-N-G, if anybody wants to look him up. So he took a fellowship from the Foundation of Sarcoidosis Research. So that's $250,000 to work only on sarcoidosis. That's how much they give out. So he's at Yale, and he's looking at sarcoidosis, and he gets a tap on the shoulder, as he puts it, from a dermatologist who is also researching sarcoidosis. Interesting. Foundation of Sarcoidosis has a pulmonologist on their board. So he taps the other two's shoulder. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. So he is currently the cardiologist. He's not seeing patients, unfortunately. He's stepped away from there to do his fellowship. But they've been testing Xeljanz, which is a pill form, so you don't have to get Remicade infusions, etc. And it's been showing some promise. We're waiting to see by February, he said by the end of February, there'll be a paper out, and then starts the trials. So it will go into trials, hopefully, for sarcoidosis. But usually we have to not be on other medication. So we'll see what happens then. I'll keep you guys in contact. But this next thing that I had sent Susie is this company called Xentria. Xentria. I can always send you a link if you want it. So they got US FDA, I'm reading, so don't mind me if I'm not looking at the camera. US FDA orphan drug designation for XTMAB16 in sarcoidosis. Oh, that's pretty cool. All right, so what it is it is an intravenous medication. So intravenous medications right now are Remicade, IVIG, and I believe this one when it finally gets going. So again, it has to be tested. Even though it has FDA, they have to go under testing. So what they've said is they were granted orphan drug designation for a TNF-A exhibitor. You know, and that's why I was kind of hoping Kevin would be here because he is really good at all this. So, sorry, it was right in my face. So
Kathleen?
Yes, my love.
I couldn't open the second one you sent me. So the first one about the Xentria, I was able to open, but the second one doesn't open.
Okay, so I'll try and resend you about Brian Young because that was the second one that I had sent to you.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So what this does is lower our inflammation, and this company is Xentria. It is a specific company, and the whole company is focused on developing biologics or biosimilars, which is everything that we unfortunately go through. Susie, have you ever been, did you ever do Remicade or IVIG or any of that?
So I've done the IVIG. Most of the drugs, doctors didn't want to put me on because um, I used to be on antibiotics all the time. So for 2.5 years, I had infections one after another. There was always something infected. And so they didn't want to do anything to weaken my immune system.
Okay. All right. So I've never tried the IVIG. I'm not, as Susie knows, I'm not doing so good on Remicade, but they say it takes 6 months to a year.
Hmm.
I'm not usually a very patient person, but I'm trying, Susie.
Good
So
job.
we'll see. To me, this is very exciting news to have these not only, 2 doctors in Yale working on sarcoidosis, and maybe it'll be a bust, but you know what? I think, and this is one of the things that even Frank always came up with. So all these drugs have to have test dummies, for all intents purposes. I call myself a test dummy. I'm okay with that. So I would have no problem trying another medication and getting off of the Remicade and or prednisone. But I know a lot of sarcoidosis patients don't want to go through the pain that they were already in. So if the Remicade is working, it's supposed to take away a lot of the joint pain, a lot of the inflammation. 6 months to a year, it seems like a long time to wait to see if it works. But okay. But I'll be honest with you, and I'm trying to be patient, but Susie, I would definitely be one of those on trials. So I don't know if you guys both know, Brian and Liz, that clinicaltrials.org, I believe it is. It might be .gov. I'll have to look it up.
The .gov one. I did the CLEAR trial at Vanderbilt, and that was 24 weeks. It didn't work, but it's 4 antibiotics that they did. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Mm-hmm. But please.
Yeah, so it was azithromycin, it was levaquin, rifampicin, and another one. So I did the 3, and then when I took the 4th one, rifampicin, oh my God, I came home with the shivers, freezing, and that lingered for like 24 hours. So they said, don't, and my blood just went insane. My white cell count dropped below 200, which is bad. And so I went back to just off that, and then I continued for a month, then tried it again, same reaction. So I continued the trial just on 3 of the meds. So things looked like they had worked slightly. The PFT increased, everything looked good, but the long-lasting effect really didn't change, because after 3 months after that, everything just continued back again. But I don't know if that 4th drug did anything that changed, and I don't know what the results of that CLEAR trial have been. They don't respond back to you on them, so no idea.
Yeah, no, the easiest way would be to try and find out what the company name was.
Doing a trial, definitely. What I wouldn't want to do is go off the meds that I'm on, like prednisone, which then suddenly make everything, double in size again, and now you could cause more damage that way, and that's the only concern I have.
Yeah, and a lot of sarcoidosis patients have that worry. But if we don't do, and I'm not saying you specifically, Brian,
No,
I'm
I
just
agree.
talking
We need
about
to do trials. So it's the only way to find the damn stuff that works.
right.
Yeah.
And Frank is pretty sick with sarcoidosis as well. And him and I usually barter with him. It's like a ping pong match between the two of us. Well, what if this? And he'll go blah blah blah, and I'll go okay, and he'll go what if this? So, but for me, I mean, I have sarcoidosis through every living organ, including the lymph nodes. I'm scared that it might be hereditary. So I want to come up with a cure before my sons or my granddaughter or my grandson, and I don't have any right now, at least not that I know of. But I would want to go off my medications, all of them, including prednisone, which makes me feel like Superwoman. in order to find a cure. I would definitely be part of any of the trials. So far, I haven't been able to. I couldn't be part of the antibiotic trial because I'm allergic to most of the antibiotics out there. So that becomes another problem, you know, once I give them a list of all my allergies, they're like, oh yeah, hell no.
That's my issue too. Like I've never taken prednisone
Oh,
because I was an uncontrolled diabetic before I got diagnosed with sarcoidosis, and I knew that prednisone can cause diabetes. So when they tried to prescribe it for me, I was like, I don't want to die from diabetes.
no, I agree with you on that.
Well,
I find
that's an interesting comment you made. My local pulmonologist, who tells me he can sarcoidosis, and I think his only approach is prednisone, said to me, "Don't worry about diabetes. We can treat it. You cannot save your lung. You're over 65. We cannot give you a lung transplant. So let's focus on the lung. We'll address everything else." So it makes sense when you look at that. That diabetes is controllable, and you say it's not, then obviously there's going to be the exception. But if you
Yeah.
can save your lungs and you go onto one of these medications for diabetes and it controls it, it's a win-win situation to be in both, to have both of those taken care of. So yeah,
Yeah,
everyone's.
but I really think I have no proof of this. This is just Susie talking, and I'm not a doctor. I really think that in some cases, such as mine, that sarcoidosis does something that either causes diabetes or makes it get a lot worse. Because my diabetes was, yeah, absolutely nuts. And so by the end of 2019, I was more scared of the diabetes than I was the sarcoidosis. And that's why in July I had gastric bypass surgery. And that's why I'm also going on this crazy raw vegan diet because diabetes terrifies me. I watched my mother's best friend go blind and lose all of her limbs and then eventually die. It's not, people talk about that if you just eat right and exercise, it's not a big deal. That is not true. It's just not true.
yeah, that I agree with you, Susie. I'm not a diabetic, thank God. But as I said, my husband is, his family has been. My cousin is, and he lost not only his eyesight, but he lost both of his lower limbs from the knees down to the diabetes because he wasn't keeping track of that. And he doesn't have sarcoidosis. But so when my husband's A1C in August of 2019 read 13.9, he was already on metformin and Crestor and I don't even remember what else, but it was like 3 medications just for the diabetes, 1 for the cholesterol, and it was the highest he could be on the Crestor. I said, you know what? I'm not working right now. You're on a diet. And you know what he did? He was a petulant child and stomped his feet. He really did too. He'd be the first one that said he was stomping his feet like a petulant child in my kitchen and said, I don't want to be on a diet. I don't want to be hungry. I don't want to do this. I said, well, you're not going on insulin. So which way do you want to go with this? You want to do it the easy way or you want to do it the hard way? I can promise you going the easy way, you will not be hungry. I said, but you need to trust me. So everything that goes into his mouth is made by me. And it's only been recently that I found some cool diabetic cookies to make. And I came up with brownies that are diabetic. So I could share that with you, Susie, I promise.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I found this company called Wellness Bakeries. Look it up on the internet.
I've heard of them, yeah.
Fantastic. I also found cereals that are keto for diabetes.
Wow.
So he now wears a heart monitor that he can scan. As of this month, his A1C is 6.2.
Oh, that's
Wow.
amazing. That's amazing.
Awesome. I'm diabetic too. This is Liz.
Hi, Liz. Yeah. You know, you guys live, I could never imagine, and I understand his petulance now because going after like ice cream. That was one of his favorites. I found a keto ice cream. It is expensive. It's $5.99 for a little container, but it has every flavor under the sun.
There's a reason, though, that diabetics crave the sugar so bad. It's because our cells do not absorb sugar the way they're supposed to, and we don't get enough sugar to our brain, and so we literally can't think right. And so it's biological. It's like, you got to give me sugar so that my brain will work. And yeah, it's hard. We get a bad rap.
No, you know, I'm not saying everybody's is fixable, but I have some really good tools in my tool shed. So Liz, reach out to me. I can shoot you the companies. You can order right offline.
I'm still recovering from a steroid shot I got in my elbow. It really kicked my diabetes up. It went up to 493.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it's been in the 300s a lot since then. Even though I'm trying to do good. So, but anyway.
Yeah, as Susie says, your body makes it, right, Susie?
Yeah, absolutely. I had, before my surgery, it was normal. If my blood sugar was 200, I was like, oh, that's a good day. I'm normal. So it was regularly going up to 300, like every day. It was when it would go to 4 or 5 that I would get a little scared. I was on 300 units of insulin before my surgery. Wow. Every day. Yeah.
Gary.
Well, I'm glad that you're doing better.
Thank you.
I want you around for a long time.
Thank you.
So anyway, I do note it's 8:30. Before we leave, Liz and Brian, I want to tell you that our next meeting is on a Thursday. It'll be January 21st. So we do the first Tuesday and the third Thursday of every month.
Same time.
As long as
Yes.
there's no Christmas or, but we have no holidays coming up right now.
Right.
Also,
I'm a happy planner.
Me too. It's always in my phone. I always joke, if you're not in my phone, you don't exist.
Oh,
It's true.
Sounds bad though. The other thing is that if you're interested in receiving newsletters from Stronger Than Sarcoidosis, you could just look up strongerthansarcoidosis.org and they'll send you their newsletter. They're the ones that are able to make this happen as well. So it's always a good thing. Did you guys have any other questions or concerns or thoughts?
I really enjoyed
No,
it. I appreciate y'all.
We appreciate you coming in, Liz. What about you, Brian?
No, this has been great. Thank you. It's a great sounding board and good to get the support.
Yes, and you know what?
Because most people don't understand what we go through and they think we hypochondriacs half the time.
Yeah.
You have these weird things, and I mean, I get these pains on my right-hand side under my sternum and the right rib, and would linger for 4 or 5 weeks. Every test, no one knows what it is. I suspect it's the withdrawal symptom from tapering of prednisone, because I've finally realized that every time I've dropped from 10 milligrams to 5 or 5 to 2 or 3, the pain kicks in. And it could take 4 to 5 weeks, then dissipates, and every test, scans, CTs show nothing. But your family think you're crazy because every time, well, it's repeated again. It's like, what's going on here, So it's good to have a support group that understands the issues we go through.
And that's why, Susie and myself and everybody else really believe in this. And that's why we do this, because we need another family. No one could understand what we're going through.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was no blood test that indicated that I had sarcoidosis. Everything came back normal. They kept telling me how healthy I am.
Crazy.
Yeah, but please join us again on Thursday. And I want to say thank you, Susie, so much. You're always such a pleasure.
Thank you, Kathleen. So are you.
Thank you. So
Thanks,
Liz
guys.
and Brian, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Appreciate y'all.
All
Just
right.
reach
Take
out to us on Facebook if you have any questions or just want to become friends.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Welcome. We'll see you
Thanks, guys.
next Thursday.
Take care.
You're
Bye-bye.
welcome. Bye-bye.